One of the purposes of TANF, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, is to provide monetary assistance to families with children, disabled, or elderly folks that are able-bodied, that the able-bodied caretaker can obtain job training and leave welfare. In fact, in order to receive TANF, a single head of household must work 30 hours per week to receive benefits. Could you improve on this program, and how?
Well, yes, I sure could. One of the things that I would implement as president is, the president can't really do it unless he wants to enforce an executive order, which I don't believe in. But I would fight for legislation that would allow for either the mother or the father to be able to stay home with those children and work, because that is a full-time job. I don't care, that's more than 30 hours, and I would count that as 30 hours plus. That's the best way to improve on it. Make sure that that child has what they need, and make sure those parents are able to be parents to that child.
Okay, Harry, you have a minute.
Well, I think that's amazing to hear that now raising children is a full-time job. I mean, it is, but in the sense that if that's what we're going to, how are they going to earn a living if they're raising children full-time? I don't get it. I mean, excuse me, but how does that work again?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay, listen. One of the
your
things
idea, not mine.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. One of the things that we're talking about are parents. Now, this is the head of household. Are you talking about two parents or one parent?
Well, most of these families are a single head of household.
Okay, single head of household. Now, let me ask you something. When you have a child that has tremendous needs, that cannot function without that parent, then you need to have somebody there that stabilizes that environment. Every child deserves that opportunity. I don't care who you are. Now, I am conservative to the core.
But where's the money come from, Andre? Where does the money come then? Who's going to support this family?
I'll gladly answer your question. Because my process, my platform actually involves an all-encompassing solution, I have built in the monetary needs or requirements for these types of programs. And when you're talking about such a small percentage, that is not a huge gap to fill.
Are you not aware that we have an epidemic of autistic children whose nervous systems have been fried by the pesticides and other poisons in their blood? Are you not aware of that?
I'm very much aware.
This isn't a small number of people. It's tens of millions.
It is a small number.
Every child has been affected.
Not tens of millions. It's not tens of millions of autistic children. That is not what we have. Yes, we are being affected, but you don't have tens of millions of autistic children running around. No, you don't.
Well,
and that is a falsehood.
Well,
now, if you want to pull those numbers up and be realistic about it, that's something.
You better check with Professor Sanjay Gupta. He's a professor of medicine, and he would disagree with you.
Excuse me.
Are you a professor of anything?
Excuse me.
Look at the CDC. Look at the real records. Look at the CDC.
I want to get back. I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to get back because, Harry, you only used about half of your... So I'm going to give you a minute and 10 seconds to answer how you would improve on the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program.
Okay, I don't even like the notion, Judy, of temporary assistance, because it's not temporary. It's a permanent problem we have, and the only answer to that problem is not to wait for the so-called job creators that you call them, these private corporations that come and hire them, which they're not doing. The answer is for the American people to get put to work by our government in the same way that we built Hoover Dam. That was a jobs created by the government for the American people, and Hoover Dam has been successfully working for 50 years. It was built in the 1930s.
And what type of projects?
We do the same approach with our community-based organic food production systems that will be constructed in such a manner that they will be able to deal with the droughts and the climate change-induced catastrophes that are now already on us, and they're coming on us with a vengeance. That's why we're in this mass extinction level of event, And while you want to talk about these other minutiae of bureaucracies, and there's no end to it. I mean, every time I pick up the newspaper every morning, there are so many things going wrong in this country, nobody can keep up with it all. But I do know this, if you can't eat, you will not survive. That's what's at stake right now. And that's why I would focus on hiring these people.
Thank you.
You don't have to put them on welfare. You have to give them a job. And if you check the numbers, agriculture is a $2 trillion a year business. And the energy sector is another $2 trillion a year business. And if all that money were flowing into the federal government instead of Exxon and Chevron, we wouldn't have these budget problems.
Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you. Andre, do you need 30 seconds to rebut? Because Harry used up all his time, but you have not, I don't think.
No,
yes.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Harry, there's so much that I agree with you on. I do wish that you would be able to see that I'm not saying everything against you, but what I am saying is when we're talking about children with special needs, those special needs have to be filled. I'm not talking about putting people on welfare, and I'm not talking about putting people on permanent welfare. You're right. It is
what do you mean by
condition. What I am saying is, can I finish here? I'm really trying to, but you keep interrupting.
You're using empty
this is a very, very big interruption.
Harry,
and this is what people that really don't know how to communicate
You're not answering the
You
question.
just interrupt people. I'm trying to answer, but you won't let me.
You were interrupting me earlier, and you didn't seem to mind.
Harry.
Actually, I just stopped and let
Harry,
you go
sit
on
back.
forever.
Forever? I haven't even got 60
Harry.
seconds. What are you talking about? Forever?
Harry, let Andre speak, please.
He was just speaking.
Give him another 30. Give him another 30 seconds. In order for him to speak, you have to be quiet. I'm sorry. Almost.
Okay,
well, this is not my kind of debate.
Andre, go ahead. You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. It won't take me that long. What I am saying is that we need to allow people to have a job, but when they need to take that time off to have a child, for at least 2 to 3 years, as long as they are still in that stage where they can perform effectively for their child. We want them to have a certain income level that is commensurate with what they have to do. And we also want them to be able to go back to work. And that's where those jobs have to come in place. When we have the job growth, we have that job stability, we don't have to worry about those people taking that time off because the job is going to be there for them when they come back, and we can actually fulfill the need that they have at that point in time. That's
I actually think that you both agree. Andre, maybe you'd have the parents stay at home with the children, but I happen to know. I mean, my child is special needs, and if we have special needs children, they have to be taken care of in a slightly higher level skill. But we also could re-educate some of these parents in jobs like what you're saying, Harry, and then they would no longer have to be on welfare. They'd be paid to do something productive.